Hello, friends. I hope you're out wandering through nature, exploring the natural world around you. Do you enjoy writing about your wanderings? Nature journaling is an awesome, fun way to remember all the adventures you have taken and how you felt during those journeys. If you're looking for some beautiful journals to keep track of all your wanderings, I have several available on Amazon, including some guided journals for children. Start your journey in journaling by clicking on the link in the show notes. Keep exploring the nature around you and keep journaling all your wanderings. Hello, friends, and welcome to the podcast. This is Paul, and it's good to be with you today. Out and about in the woods at Knox Farm State Park, just outside of East Aurora today, and I am actually checking out springtime. Yes, I finally made it. I don't know where you live, but if you live in colder climates, this is like a highlight. Yeah, you wait all year for spring to show up. It's like winters, I don't know, maybe it's my age, but winters just get harder and harder for me. I just don't like the cold. When I was younger, I used to love winter. And as I got older, I still loved it. I used to cross-country ski, did snowshoeing. I mean, I was out and about in the winter all the time, but I didn't even mind shoveling the driveway. I didn't mind plowing the driveway as I got older. I didn't mind, I don't mind winter. At least I didn't. Now, I don't know. I just don't like the cold anymore. I'm getting tired of the snow. I'm getting tired of the cold, blustery days. And I just want to be warm. Anyhow, springtime. Yeah, springtime is exciting to me. My wife? Not so much. She doesn't really like spring. I shouldn't say that. She likes spring. It's not her favorite season, as she will put it. And the reason, I think, is because it's all muddy and everything is still kind of dead. And, I think it's mostly the wet mud and it's still a little cold. And I think she dislikes the cold more than I do. And of course, the dogs. Yeah. We have two larger dogs, in case you didn't know. One's German Shepherd mix, the other we haven't figured out what the heck she is, other than sweet as could be, but stupid as could be as well. But the two dogs, when they're out in the springtime and they are walking around or running around chasing each other and it's wet out and muddy and all that mud comes into the house, yeah. So that's why I think my wife doesn't like spring. I like it. I like it because, in my eyes, spring's a time of renewal. At least that's the way I look at spring. It's a time of rebirth. Nature is coming back to life. It's reborn again. The temperatures are warming up. It's actually like 65 degrees right now, which after a cold winter, 65 is wonderful. So I'm just enjoying the spring, walking through the woods, seeing the different signs of spring. I was seeing a lot of insectivores coming back. I heard some warblers. For those of you who don't know what warblers are, they're a small insectivorous bird, and they basically just eat insects. And so you don't see them during the wintertime. They're down south where they can find their food, so they're migratory. So in the springtime, you start to hear the warblers. And this morning I actually heard several different species of warblers. And here today at Knox Farm, I have heard a couple of warblers. I heard what I think was a yellow warbler. And I have also heard the ruby-crowned kinglet, which is not a warbler, but another insectivore. So the insectivores are back. I'm also noticing another sign of spring, the spring ephemerals. For those of you who don't know what ephemerals are, they're basically a plant that grows, let me reword that. it doesn't just grow in the spring. I was about to say it just grows in the spring, but it doesn't. It flowers in the spring, okay? But it is one of the first. I just heard a warbler in the woods. I think it was a common yellowthroat. Okay, common yellowthroat warbler. Anyhow, the spring ephemerals, they come up in the springtime before the leaves are out on the trees, and they spread their flower. They use all their energy to get that flower up, and they gather the energy from the sun, and they grow as much as they can, do what they can really quick before the leaves come out, because once those leaves are out, it gets dark in the woods, and then they die off. So, not all of them. Some of them will stick around. So, I am seeing the spring ephemerals. I'm actually walking through an area with all the trout lily. Trout lily, the leaves actually have these markings on it that look like the side of a trout, which is where they got their name from, trout lily. And the trout lily is actually in bloom. It's got some beautiful yellow lily type flowers. Yep, trail's muddy, sign of spring. And there's some leeks over there in the field. Some people call them ramps. Okay, so ramps, leeks, wild onion, you could call it that too. They have like an onion-like bulb. And when you walk through a large patch of leeks, or if you rub their leaves, or you smell them up close, they smell like onion. Yeah, so that's where they got the wild onion from. Yes, they are edible. You can cook them. You can add the leaves to your salads. The bulb, you can put it into soups, potato leek soup. Oh, it's one of my favorites. So yeah, the leeks are starting to come up. You got some other spring ephemerals, spring beauties. I saw them earlier. I don't see them in the area of the woods that I'm in right now, but I did see those earlier, the spring beauties. Another spring ephemeral. So we are getting some of the ground cover, grabbing that sunlight before the leaves come out on the trees. And then it's basically over for, oh, look at that. We got a patch I'm coming up to. Oh, there goes a squirrel. Oh, and there goes a deer hopping through the woods. Oh, what a beautiful day to be out, and a chipmunk scurrying away from me. Anyhow, I'm coming up to a patch right here. It looks like a bunch of little palm trees. No, I'm not in the tropics. I am in New York here. But it looks like a bunch of little palm trees. What this is May apples. And I actually see on one of them, there's a little green apple in the middle. That will turn bright red right about May, and that's when the apple is edible. I hear they're very delicious. Yes, I didn't say they are very delicious because I've never tasted them, but I hear they're very delicious. Why haven't I tasted them? Because I never get to them in time. No, usually the deer beat me to them. They know how delicious they are too. Now, if you think about a deer coming along, seeing this apple, don't you think it's going to eat the entire plant? And then what happens? Well, if the plant basically gets eaten and doesn't survive and can't create new plant the next year. Well, that doesn't happen because the leaves, and I'm telling you this to give you caution, whenever I talk about anything that's edible, do not eat it unless you know it, okay? I know my plants. I know which ones are edible. If I don't know a plant, I don't know if it's edible, I won't touch it. So I'm just giving you that warning. I've heard too many nightmare stories of people who have eaten plants that they didn't know and they got very sick from it. But anyhow, the leaves of the Mayapple do have a toxicity to them. Are they going to kill you? Probably not, but they could make you pretty sick. And it depends on how many leaves you eat. Oh, a story, it just popped in my head when I talked about getting sick from eating the plant. I chaperoned, I didn't take them. I chaperoned my son, his school class, went to a camp the one year, and we were in their cabin, and to get to the chow hall, the food hall, we had to go down this trail, it was down a hillside, and all along the sides of the trail were leeks, all along. Now, the naturalist in me always kicked in, and I told these kids all about leeks and that they were wild onions and how you could eat them and they were delicious and they tasted like onions. That was a mistake on my part, but that's the educator in me, always trying to teach people about nature. And so I told these kids about these leeks. Well, that night in our cabin, trying to fall asleep, trying to get the kids to sleep so I could fall asleep, and the other chaperones too, these kids, all of a sudden you could hear the grumbles, and kids were just like stepping out of the cabin, and you could hear them outside the cabin heaving. Yeah, they're throwing up, and I'm like, what's going on here? You know, there's a food poisoning at the cafeteria. What's going on? Well, I did talk to my son. He was feeling a little nauseous. He wasn't one of those that was out back, but they had a competition. Yeah, several of the boys had a competition. Who could eat the most leeks? Yeah, teenagers. Yeah, young teenagers, middle school. And anyhow, they had this competition, and half of the boys got pretty sick from eating way too many leeks. It would be like eating a ton of onions all at once. Yeah, I'd get sick too. So anyhow, that's my leek story. So I'm walking through the woods here, and I am seeing some of the trees, another sign of spring. Some of the trees are actually starting to leaf out. So I am seeing some small leaves on some of them. The young trees especially. Yeah, I got some young trees. They're another one that's like the spring ephemerals. You grab that sunlight when you can. And so the leaves are starting to get that energy, get that sunlight before the adult trees, the taller, larger trees, they start grabbing it up. But even those trees are budding. I can see them starting to leaf out, getting the leaves on them. I'm walking up to a tree here, a shorter one where I can actually get to the branches. And yeah, you can see the buds on the leaves are starting to open up. So another sign of spring. And I'm coming up to a tree that has, there goes a butterfly. That was my first butterfly for the year. Awesome. Yeah, the butterflies are back. Or I shouldn't say back. They've been here. They've just been hiding. And there's a bee on the ground I just saw. Oh, where'd he go? Oh, he's flying around my feet. Okay, he's looking for a flower. And over to the trout lily. Those are the only flowers I've seen in the woods here. But so we got the bees. We had that butterfly. So the insects, yeah, they're coming out of their hibernation, their sleep. So they are starting to get more active as well. So another great sign of spring. It's just such a great time of renewal. And it's neat in spring too, because you can see the difference between old and new. It's like the things that are dying off, that from the winter, that died off in the winter time, their skeletons, their remnants are still here, and out of them, you're starting to get all this new growth. You have the crunchy dead leaves all over the ground from the dead, or from the tree's hibernation, the tree going to sleep and dropping its leaves, and all this new growth is coming out of that. All those leaves are adding fertilizer to the ground. Well, and as I'm coming to the edge of the woods here, I just spotted a dandelion. Yes, a dandelion. From the French, dandelion. Did you ever look at a dandelion's leaves? The leaves have those jagged edges. They almost look like a lion's teeth. Dandelion means the teeth of the lion. So yeah, the dandelions are up. Interesting thing about a dandelion, it's not just one flower. I know you are thinking flower, it's a weed. No, in my opinion, no such thing as a weed. The weed is something that is unwanted, unuseful, not necessary. That's basically what a weed is. Dandelions have a use. I'm actually waiting for more dandelions in my yard. My wife is excited about it too, because we make the most delicious dandelion cookies. Yeah, they're great. It's a recipe that we got from a friend of mine who she runs, and actually her husband and I knew each other long before they even got married, but she runs a Facebook page and a blog called Savory Moments, and I have friended her Savory Moments on my Facebook, and so she posts these great recipes, and she posted one on dandelion cookies, and we decided we have to try that. And so we tried that, and they were delicious. And now every year we look forward to dandelion season, so we can do that. Dandelion wine, and even if you're not thinking about human use of these things, think about the animals. That little bee, you know, he needs that dandelion too. Okay, I'm coming to an open field here, which is kind of neat. We might get a little more wind, so there's some more dandelions now. So I will apologize for any wind noise, because I am in the edge of the fields, edge of the woods, and as I'm walking along here, you look out into the field, and you can see the difference between the browns. Oh, there goes another moth that just flew by, or butterfly. It went too quick, I couldn't tell. But the field has all this brown in it, but song sparrow. He's happy. He's happy about this nice, gorgeous spring day. But anyhow, you see all this brown, and off of the brown, you've got green starting to open up. So it looks like some of it's, well, the honeysuckle's already green. Yeah, that's one of the first ones. Introduced, Tartarian honeysuckle. Introduced from, I believe it was Japan. Now it takes over a lot of fields here in the Northeast. But there's other plants out here too that are just starting to leaf out. Sign of spring. The grasses are starting to get taller. But you still have, there's actually a winter plant here. So this one, yeah, the flowers, this has no buds on it. So I didn't mind breaking it off. But this one here has not, is dead. It's from last year. Didn't make it through the winter. Coming around the corner here, so we might get a little more breeze. I'm going to head into the woods in a second here. Got to get past this muddy section, then I'll head back into the woods. Oh, got a swampy area. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know if I'll do it again. Green frog was just calling me. Yeah, the frogs are starting to come out of their hibernation. They will spend their winters down in the mud at the bottom of the pond. And also, I'm walking by an area, I'm looking into the woods. Like I said, I'm right at the edge of the woods. I'm walking by an area where in the woods there's a large wetland area. And that wetland area, I'm sure has salamanders in, and they'll be in there until it dries up. Yeah, which, you know, it's a temporary wetland, if you want to call it that. Vernal pool is the official name. When you get these vernal pools, salamanders lay their eggs in there, and then the spring, before it dries up completely for the summer, the salamanders will do a migration out of the pond after the eggs hatch, and they migrate down to the local pond or wetland area where it doesn't dry up. I've got, field sparrow calling in the field here, and I see some more insects. A fly just went by. No mosquitoes, thank goodness. Oh, I know, part of nature. Shouldn't dislike one little part just because they're blood-sucking Okay, we won't talk about mosquitoes. But yeah, haven't seen them yet, which is good, in my opinion. But beautiful spring day. So these are all signs of spring that we look for. The flowers are starting to come up. They're starting to bloom. There's some hawkweed. I know, I'm not supposed to use the word weed. It's the name. It's a flower. It kind of looks like a dandelion, but it doesn't have the leaves on it. There's no leaves on it, but it kind of looks like a dandelion. So it's what we call hawkweed. And they used to think they would see hawks flying around, soaring overhead, and they'd come diving down and grab this plant and carry it away. No, they weren't. They were after a rabbit or a mouse, but they didn't know any better back then, so they thought that it was actually after this plant, and that's where it got the name hawkweed. Okay, so I'm crossing the field. I'll be in the woods in a minute to get rid of some of this wind noise. But actually in an open field where there's some bluebird boxes here. And I'm seeing a bluebird go towards the box. Another sign of spring. The birds are starting to nest. They're just going to be raising their young soon. And matter of fact, I do have some nesting bluebirds on my property. Oh, the mud. Yep, that's part of spring too. So I do have some nesting bluebirds on my property, and so they are starting to nest. So I have all these awesome signs of spring out here. The woodpeckers are pretty active as well. So all of this is telling me, yeah, spring is here. And so I hope you, and hey, the wind is part of the spring as well. Yeah, the wind is bringing in the warmer weather. And oh, there's a beautiful maple tree that's starting to leaf out. So I'm in the woods, still getting a little breeze. I think we're pretty much yeah, the birds are starting to sing more, which means that they are trying to find mates. They are pairing up. So all of this is telling me that, yeah, spring is in the air. So I hope you're getting out and enjoying this beautiful weather, enjoying spring, or I don't know, maybe you live in an area where you don't have to worry about it. You have summer all year long. Boy, I look forward to those days when I can get to that point. Yeah, I plan on retiring in a nice warm climate, I hope. Anyhow, hopefully, if you do live in the colder climate like I do, you're out enjoying these warm days. Oh, and I just noticed a tree here in full bloom. Yeah, so not only are the trees leafing out, they're also starting to. There goes another butterfly. The trees are actually starting to flower. Yeah, those flowers will eventually turn into fruits. So fruiting bodied trees, they flower. So that one's got a ton of flowers on it, beautiful little white flowers. Yeah, spring is in the air. I'll tell you that. Oh, we got some small, I'm back in the field here. The woods was too muddy, so I turned around back in the field. So we've got dandelions on the trail here. Oh, the plantain is up. Yeah, so plantain is up. Don't have the seed pods on it yet. There's more birds. They are calling. They are flying around doing mating rituals. So yeah, they are all ready to start mating. So anyhow, we're pretty much out of time. I hope you enjoyed our springtime walk. Look for these signs of spring. You know, if you live in cold climate like I do, hopefully you're outside enjoying the warm spring weather. Hopefully you are as excited as I am about summer just around the corner. And if you're one of those fortunate people who lives in a climate that is year-round warm, lucky for you. But I'll get to that point sometime. But right now, I'm just happy that it's spring. Hope you enjoyed wandering through nature with me today. Get outside, enjoy the beautiful weather, enjoy nature, no matter where you live, no matter what the temperature, no matter what the weather is. Get out and enjoy nature. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast, and all the links for my merch or to donate to the podcast so that we can keep the podcast going. They're all in the show notes, so make sure to check that out. I usually leave some other useful links in the show notes as well, so make sure you check out the show notes. All this month of May, any donations to the Ko-Fi page are going to plant trees. I'm not taking a penny of it to buy new equipment or to upgrade equipment. I am using every penny to plant trees. So we're donating it to an organization that plants trees. Every dollar will plant a tree, so plant lots of trees with me. Every donation through Ko-Fi in the month of May. And if it goes well, I may extend it too, so we'll see. So get those donations, it's in the show notes. And above all, as I always say, get out and explore the nature around you. Have a great day, everyone.
Did you know that plastic is made with oil, a fossil fuel that pollutes the environment? And did you know that only about 15% of all plastic is recycled into new products? Wouldn't it be awesome if we could live our lives without plastic so that we could stop harming the planet? Well, there's a company that wants to help you do just that. Life Without Plastic sells products that will reduce or eliminate your dependence on plastic. They have a large selection from toothbrushes to food storage containers to drinking straws, all plastic free. And it's reasonably priced. So what are you waiting for? Check out all these great plastic-free products and help save the planet. Just click on the link in the show notes to find out more and to start your journey to being plastic-free.